Hello, friends, and welcome to Virtual Strangers 33. I am your host, Wes. With me, as always, my good friend, Ruuts. Ruuts, how's the weekend treating you so far?
Good. My legs are a little sore, but that's to be expected with all the power squats I've been doing in VR. So
Yeah, you know who else's legs are sore? Mine, because I've been doing power squats in VR as well. And that brings us to our topic of the week. What else but Pistol Whip? You know, Pistol Whip came out this past Thursday, November the 7th. And I don't know, kind of a mixed reaction, but not really. Most people think that it's good, but the extent to which they think so varies very much from person to person. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask you, Roots, Pistol Whip, is this a great game or is this the greatest game?
oh yeah, it's game of the year. No, it's yeah, I think it's a really good game. I wouldn't say I think there was so much hype building up to it. I mean, the suits, everything, like it to a point where when I played it at first, I thought it's pretty good, But I think it's just like Audica, It's you need to get seasoned with it. You need to put a couple hours, get to into the rhythm and figure out how to play this game, and then it really starts to shine. So
Yeah, the suits were a bit overdone, weren't they?
yeah, yeah, and I mean I get it. Like you wanna do this, you have to do this. But if you want to play it early, but I don't know. It's to me, it just seemed like it was it built. I mean, it was good. It's brilliant. I mean, it got everybody talking. It just like the Beat Saber video did. Everybody really was paying attention to this game when it dropped, and so it's good for sales, right?
Yeah, yeah, great for sales. People definitely stuck out in people's minds. It makes me wonder if this really was something that they just requested or if they insisted. You know, if you're going to get early access to our game, you're going to wear a suit and tie because there's people wearing suits and ties that I've never seen dressed up before, but they did it for this. They did it for this totally.
I didn't see one person that had a early video that didn't have a suit and a tie. I could be wrong. Did you? I mean, like,
No, and it wasn't just that. They put the call out 2 weeks ahead of launch, maybe even three on Twitter. They were putting the call out there. Hey, are you a content creator? Do you want early access to our game? Here's how you contact us. So I imagine that. I mean, it got a pretty big response on Twitter. I imagine that this is exactly what these people were told to do.
yeah, that's my guess too. But I don't know. I mean, it definitely built up the hype, and that was my point. It was good. That's good and bad. Was super hyped for it, and then I wasn't as hyped as I saw all these videos, and it put me in a weird place. But once I actually played it and got some time into it, and tried to catch Derillo and his crazy scores on the leaderboard, but no, it's growing on me every time I play it. So
Yeah, I really, I should say I don't have as much time in it as you do, but I did play a significant session today before we shot this episode. I played over an hour in my Rift and nearly an hour in my Quest just to compare. And I had a blast, dude. I did not want to stop. I didn't even play every track in it because it's one of those games where you fail and you immediately want to go back in. You don't want to take a break. You just replay immediately. Go 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 like a good arcade game that takes all your quarters. It's one of those you don't want to stop. And I had a blast. It's you know I'm far from having enough time in it to see if it's going to have the kind of replayability to be a long term favorite. But as of right now, it's off to about as good a start as it possibly could be.
all right, well let's talk about that. Let's talk about one of the biggest things that I've seen people complain about was the price, and they were saying it's not it's too expensive, but what you just described sounds like hours upon hours before you'll even figure out if, like I've already put in 3.5 hours, and I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface, and I'm getting 3/4 of the way through on hard mode with Deadeye on, and then I'm getting overwhelmed. But I see opposite of everybody else. I get it. Beat Saber was $20 when it came out, so was Audica. But it's a different game, and how much play are you getting out of it? And then also Beat Saber, especially, it's when it came out almost 2 years ago, the market was different. Like, it's $25 is not much different than $20, and I get it, but it just, to me, I think it's well worth $25, and they're bringing more tracks. But that's where we run into the problem of what you were saying, and I question as well. Will we get them for free, right?
Right, right. And I got to say, I was initially uh, upset a little bit about the price as well, but that was before I played the game. I think that the reason why people are getting so worked up about this price is because everybody kind of thought that it was $20 to begin with. I mean, that's what I thought. I thought that I heard that it was going to be $20, and I really expected it to be 20. And then when it was 25, I was kind of upset about it. But I think what you're saying here is really the bottom line with it. There's 10 tracks, and we know that there's more coming. Now, are you going to charge us extra to get the next 5 to 10 tracks? I'd like to think that we could get 15 or 20 included for the price that we've already paid, and then beyond that, if they want to release paid DLC, I think that would be a fair proposition. But 10 tracks, I get it. This isn't a basic standard rhythm game. These aren't your basic beat maps. These are full-blown rail shooter levels. So it's not the same. It's apples and oranges. But still, 10 songs that once you get good at, you're going to be able to blow through in half an hour, 45 minutes. Yeah, I'd like to have a few more for my $25 investment.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll give us some more. And if anybody wants to challenge themselves, if you think you're really good at this game, just join our Discord, friend Gerillo, and he will school you, and he will show you what it's like to you're not going to catch his scores. At least I'm not catching his scores so far. But no, it's I think that's the best part of this game, and it's one of the things I enjoy the most is the leaderboards. It makes you want to, you see all your friends, everybody's talking about it. Mamefan's in there, Alex is in there, everybody's battling for that spot at the top, and it just makes it so much more fun. So
Yeah, that's the main thing about this game. This is a leaderboard chaser. This even though it's not a straight rhythm game, it's scored like a straight rhythm game. So it plays like an arcade shooter, but you do have to be mindful of the beat, and you will score higher just by playing with the beat and taking your shots on rhythm. The gameplay's fun. I mean, it's very, very addicting. It's something that I don't see myself getting tired of anytime soon. But you know what I think my favorite part of this game thus far, early impressions, I think my favorite part of the game is the level design. Man, this thing is very artistic. These levels are really cool. They're very, I mean, I get that from the standpoint of where the guys are coming, that's kind of similar. They all kind of enter the frame the same way through every stage. But the levels look different. They look as different as the songs sound different. And that was one of my big concerns coming into this game. Would there be good level diversity? Would there be good track diversity? And I feel like they delivered in that respect.
yeah, it looks so cool, right? Especially these skeletons and stuff. Were you like tempted to take a look? And I'm like, I don't have time. I got people popping up everywhere. But what you said is nailed it as far as the guys coming out. This is my only real gripe as far as the way this is, and I don't know if there's any way they could have done it differently. Only the developers would know, really. But can you imagine this game if it was procedurally generated as far as the guys, even just the guys popping up, and I know that it affects the rhythm and everything. But even if they had like multiple different ways to where like 5 different versions, or I don't know, just, you benefit from knowing where they're going to come from. But I like not knowing where they're coming from. And that's where the 10 songs is going to haunt me. Once I get played it enough, I'm going to feel like I'm going to lose that part of it, until they drop new tracks. I just like going into something completely new and that's just out of control and trying to control it. That's what I like,
Yeah, I think that I get why they did it. It's difficult enough because in order to top the leaderboards and get the really high scores, you have to have enough repetition. You have to know exactly where everybody's going to be so you can hit them on the perfect beat. But they wanted to give, the player who's on their first 50 playthroughs a little bit of a shot. So they had this kind of uniformity to how the guys enter the frame, so that you can kind of guess a little bit, even if it's your first or second time through a level. So I get it. What they should do, though, for people like you who want a little more randomness to it, who don't want to be able to just guess where guys are, who want to be judged on how fast they are on the draw randomly, there should be a setting for that, or maybe a difficulty level like expert level where the guys are a little less predictable. But I mean, man, it is tough as it is. There's lots of modifiers to make it more difficult. And, as a newbie right now, I feel like if it were like that, it would be almost impossible for me to play.
Yeah, it does it. The learning curve on this is definitely those bullets, man. You're constantly juking and jiving, and that was one of the things I was going to ask you. Being that you've played both versions, the Quest and the Rift S, obviously, I don't even need to ask if you liked the Quest version better, but how much better was it? Because you also have a bigger space, and that was my biggest gripe is, all of these games over the last year or so, and we've talked about it before, we've gotten very conditioned to not moving so much in our space. And this game, that ain't flying, even just ducking beside your legs, it's not enough, man. You need to be moving. And the more space you have, I guarantee it's going to make this so much easier. And you're going to be able to move around and just, I don't know, feel free.
Yeah, I'm not ready to say which version I like better yet, because it's a real trade-off. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Quest version looks okay, but the Rift version looks it looks more better than I thought it would. I knew the Rift version, super sampled to 150 is going to look better than obviously the mobile Quest version. I expected that. I didn't expect how much better that it actually looks. It looks a lot better on the Rift S. Mainly because it doesn't look like they've incorporated any anti-aliasing at all on the Quest version. It's just shimmery everywhere and dirty. It looks like what I would imagine this game's going to look like on an OG PS4. That's what it looks like. It's just, I mean, it looks good, and don't get me wrong, it looks good for what it is, and trust me, this is the new go-to game. If you want to win somebody over with your Quest that's never played VR before, you're going to put the Quest on them, you have one game to pick, this is the game you're picking. This is an awesome experience, and it's going to blow somebody away. But as someone who plays, 75% of their VR on PC, I started on Rift, I moved to Quest, and it was immediately noticeable in the menu, the difference in visual fidelity and just overall clarity that you get with the Rift S.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I literally have seen several posts on Reddit, and and people saying, "Oh, it looks, literally, it just looks just as good." And what you described doesn't sound like that at all. Like, I trust your opinion
Uh,
100%.
don't
So
get me wrong. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad. It looks good. It looks good, but it's hard to explain to someone who hasn't been in both. To explain how Quest games kind of look.
Well, I
You,
kind of get it with the PlayStation VR, as far as that goes. But I'm just saying that, like, literally, so many people are saying there's not a difference, and I disagree with that. Just from what you're saying, there clearly is a difference, and I don't see how they can say. And if it can still look good, and like you said, if you're not going from the Rift super sampled, you're not going to notice any difference. If you only had a Quest, you're thinking, wow, this is the most amazing looking game I've ever seen, only next to a different version looks, not as good. So
two things to consider here with it. One, I literally I put the Quest on after it has been used literally all day playing pistol whip. My family passing it around with casting enabled. So maybe it was hot. It could have been hot and
mm,
maybe not performing as well as it normally would have. Because literally, I mean, they ran this thing dead 3 or 4 times today.
wow.
They played it all day long. Um, that said, when I was playing it in here on the PC, the wife said, I offered to let her see it so she could see what it looked like on PC. She's only played it on the Quest. And she's like, no, I already know what it looks like. I've been playing it in there. And I'm like, no, just try it out. She didn't think it was going to look any different. I put it on her. Guess what? It looks a lot different. So yeah, it's great for what it is. It looks good on the Quest. It's just shimmery. I mean, the graphics look the same, but there's shimmer
Mm.
everywhere in it. So
Maybe they'll get a
uh,
patch.
now that said, uh, I was telling you before we started recording here that I don't duck as much as a lot of people. I'm a sidestepper. I move left and right. I move all around. Uh, it was nice playing with the Quest because I had a bigger area to play in. I had more room to move, and it did help. It made a difference. So it's a trade-off. Do you want it to look good, or do you want to have that freedom of movement? So it really just depends on what you're in the mood for. I guess as I get better, I'll probably prefer the Rift more because I'll just be easily sidestepping and not having to move so violently. But I think early on I may play a little bit more with the Quest just so that I can have that extra space.
Deadeye. Deadeye's where it's at, man.
I tried Deadeye, but my mistake was it was the first thing that I tried. I went into it thinking, yeah, I'll just start playing on Deadeye, and by the time I get good, I'll just be a badass. But no, I didn't make it 20 seconds before I died. So after a few times getting killed quickly, I wanted to have a good experience to be able to recount for our subscribers here. So I went ahead and, as much as I hated to, I went with the auto aim.
Yeah, I actually, Alex suggested to try it first without the Deadeye for a bit, and then try it with Deadeye, so you can see the difference of the auto aim, which is really good idea of his, and it makes a huge difference. But man, once you start the difference for me, at least when I play on Deadeye, is it becomes less of a rhythm game, is more of a shooter, because I'm going to be shooting a lot more, because I usually have to shoot 2 or 3 times to make sure I'm on target and then nail them. But I'm getting better, and it feels really good. I can imagine going through on Deadeye, hard mode like this or whatever mode this is, and just being amazing. It just would be
Yeah, I
awesome.
imagine you know, as you become an expert at playing with Dead On, I imagine that it becomes more of a rhythm game over time. You know what I'm saying? At first, it can't be because trust me, if you don't kill these guys, they're going to kill you. That's the thing about this game. You have to shoot these dudes. If you don't shoot them, they're going to shoot you. you're not going to be able to duck and dodge every one. So, yeah, I imagine on Deadeye, you're pretty much just blasting until you get these guys down. But as you become a crack shot with it, as you become great at it, I imagine that you're going to be able to shoot on rhythm more just to get that score, you know, as high as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
Um, all in all, though, I had a blast in this game, and I can't wait to get back in it. It's another one of these games, you know, it's hard to put it up there with some of these other games because we've been making the distinction here lately between the main course games and the palate cleanser games. And by definition, to me, all rhythm games are palate cleansers. Even this one, even though it's a shooter, a rhythm shooter, still a rhythm game, still a palate cleanser. Not a game that I want to spend all day playing, but a game I can pick up for 15, 20, 30 minutes at a time and have a blast. Both types of games are needed. I absolutely think that a palate cleanser game can be the game of the year. I think this is a candidate at this point for game of the year. But what I was trying to say is this is one of those games like Asgard's Wrath that I see myself wanting to play more than I'm actually going to be able to play.
Yeah, yeah, especially with everything else going on with all the other games coming out. Now, you said something about your wife and how this has pretty much wiped Box VR off the map. And that was one of the things that, because it's so addictive, it gets you sweating. This is a good, I would say probably one of the best so far that I've played in VR workout games. Because it's so engaging and you're moving around and ducking and you're working your legs and it's good. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, yeah, and that's just it. She really likes the Oculus Quest for those types of games, the exercise games, and Box VR was her go-to. Not anymore, never. I doubt she'll ever play that again now because she's just loving Pistol Whip so much. She's played it pretty much nonstop since I bought it. Probably has, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times as much time in Pistol Whip as I do. So yeah, she's loving it, and you're absolutely right. It's a game that'll get you moving. So if you need an aerobic workout, this one is a-okay.
So one thing that I was going to say that we didn't bring up or mention was the maps, the beat maps, and I know that they did like a Marilyn Manson one, and I was concerned about them possibly matching up. And you were saying that there was that. What were you saying with that about that?
Yeah, I read that that the way that these that the regular stock beat maps are made is that the guys come out to a certain beat count. Every song has a beat count that it's built on. And what the modders were saying, or at least what I read on Reddit, was that if you pick a song that's based on a similar beat count, or the same, not similar, the exact same beat count, that the guys pretty much match up pretty well. So that's what allowed that Marilyn Manson mod to work so well, and what future mods are going to be built around is songs with the similar beat and rhythm structure just being substituted in, and the actual beat map or level staying the same.
Yeah, because that was one of the things that's made Beat Saber so good was the songs, the editor. But let's be honest, anybody that doesn't see or think that all games of that nature, including Beat Saber, is trying their hardest to move away from. They don't want the editor there. They want to have people get their game, but they want to sell you the songs. You know what I mean? So they're gonna have it to some extent, but it's never gonna be as good anymore. And with this game, it just sounds like it's already gonna be more difficult to match up. Just because you won't have, you got to find the right song that matches up with the beat, and then it's still not going to be as good. So I don't know. Hopefully they'll put out more normal songs that come with it, because I'm not about getting the mods and all that stuff anyway. I just want them to design good songs.
Yeah, I'd like to. That's my main hope with this game is I want a lot of DLC for it. I want, I don't want to have to pay for a lot of it. I at least want to double up the track count here. At least five. I guess I should say I want them to double up the track count for what we already paid. At least five more tracks, make 15. And then if they want to start charging for DLC, then fine. I also would like to see a level editor, if that's at all possible. It might be a little too complex and difficult for a basic user to really fully design a map. But if they could, that would be really awesome here because the art style is cool and stylistic as it is. It is rather basic, so it does seem like something that people would be able uh, to design if they were given proper tools. So two things I'd really look forward to in the future: more songs and some customization options. All officially supported, of course.
And the campaign mode. That'd be nice to actually have something to work towards. So,
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I mean, what you're starting to get into now is my perfect utopia rhythm shooter, which is a little less like a rhythm game and a little more like a shooter. I would really like something that you go through. You have an energy bar. You have enemies with energy bars. You don't just move through at a single pace, but you have areas that you move into and you stop. You still have to shoot on rhythm, still have to dodge on rhythm, but I'd like to see mini bosses and boss fights. I'd like to have to defend on beat. I'd like to have to attack on beat to an enemy who's only vulnerable during certain beats. That's my perfect utopian rhythm shooter. But this game checks off more boxes in that category than anything else that I've ever played by far. So, well done. A very fun game and a game I'll look forward to going back into.
yeah, me too.
All right, so moving on to yesteryear's rhythm game, a game that none of us have any use for anymore ever,
Yep, toss it.
Audica.
Yep. Toss this piece of trash now.
All right, Ruuts. I'm just kidding. I'm just trolling all the Audica heads out there. We got some news from Audica. Beat Saber coming with new stuff. Pistol Whip coming with new stuff. Audica's not going to be left behind, folks. So they came with their new stuff on the 5th, 2 days ahead of Beat Saber and Pistol Whip. So what did Audica do? Well, first of all, they came out of early access. It's been in early access since June last year, something like that. And they came into full release, and at the same time, they expanded to the PSVR platform. So, what does this mean? Well, $30. Now it's the permanent price for Audica. 33 songs that come with it, except on PlayStation VR. PlayStation VR gets 4 exclusive tracks. Also, the developers here have planned to release 15 more DLC tracks by the end of the year. And how you get these is largely up to how you want to pay for them. You can buy each individual track, $2 each. You can buy a 5-song pack, $8.50, or you can buy them all for $20. So basically, you're saving yourself $5.50 over the 5-song pack, and you're saving yourself $10 over the single track price if you buy them all separately. They did release the first 5-song pack this past Tuesday. Some big names on here: Ruuts, Ariana Grande, Billie Eilish, Imagine Dragons, Post Malone. I'm sure you checked these out, right? What did you think?
I liked them. I liked every single track. I mean, not necessarily every song per se, music wise, but I had a lot of fun playing it. And they also released the campaign mode, which was really hard on expert, man. Like some of those things that you have to, the modifiers make it almost impossible to do some of these songs, and makes it very difficult. I think it was Driven By said it took him like 8 hours or some insane amount just to get through expert mode. And I've only gone through half of it. I've gotten through all the way on advanced, but I don't know. It's made me like this game even more. So
Yeah, yeah. I already liked Audica better than Beat Saber to begin with. But the one thing I thought that Beat Saber had over Audica was that campaign mode. So now you're saying that Audica has one too. So might be worth going back in and checking out, right?
yeah, it's definitely worth it. And it's cool because a lot of the songs are just normal, and then you'll come up to one where you have no guns in your hands; they're invisible, and so it makes it a little bit harder to aim. And then different modifiers that speed it up. And that was one of my favorite ones because you're doing the song you already know, which was cool on hard mode, not expert. Because if you're anybody that knows, like Radio Runt or somebody, when you're used to expert mode, playing advanced mode it's so slow. You actually get thrown off because the notes are too slow, and so the rhythm catches back up when it speeds it up. So just the different modifiers really made it worth going back in and playing. And then they changed some of the notes a little bit, and there's even one that makes everything have more visuals, like more particles and stuff. So every time you're hitting one of those notes, it's like really almost difficult to see what the fuck's going on. It's almost like playing Tetris Effect. That was difficult as well for a different reason, but equally fun. So yeah, this definitely, as much fun as I had with Pistol Whip and still have, it did not, for me, knock Audica down. Maybe for other people it will, but so far it is not.
Yeah. Sounds like they've added enough to their game to really justify calling this a full release now from early access. It's a different game this week than it was last week, right?
Yeah, and there's they've added they pretty much listened to the community. Every single thing that people said they wanted, more tracks, obviously, campaign mode, more guns. They've added guns that you unlock, different they've added I think it was 5 different backgrounds. And so it just
So there's new visuals now as well, new levels.
yeah, new levels. Like I can't remember, one of them's called the Gate, and I think that's the last one. The last one was the coolest, I thought, but of course it's gonna be. But they really did, and the one thing I will warn people: if you've got a really good video card, like Wes and I do, be careful how much you super sample, because that was one of the things I think I screwed myself. Like I decided I went on this stint where I thought I'm just going to try Audica at 2.0 and see what it looks like, see if it even plays. And it looked so fucking good and ran perfect. And the next time I went in, I forgot to super sample. I thought, oh God, why does this look like shit? And it took me a minute or two to realize what I did. And now like I went through all sorts of games putting it on 2.0, and it's amazing. I see all these posts on Reddit, and they're, oh, can I play VR with this video card? Or, I'm thinking about upgrading, and people say, oh, no, the 1070 is fine, which is what I came from. And yeah, you can run VR, but I just feel like there's a good portion of the people in VR that they're not experiencing all of it, They're just like with the Quest, they're experiencing good. But man, when you can super sample the fuck out of a game, it just changes everything, does it not?
Yeah, it kind of defeats the purpose of buying this expensive hardware. I mean, if you're an enthusiast and you're dropping down these thousands of dollars to get this equipment, you're really wasting it if you don't push it a little bit anyway,
Yeah, I agree. And that's one of the things that, even though everybody wants so many bells and whistles on their new 2.0, everything that people want, there's no way that we could run it. Like, we can't even run this stuff with our 2080s, as well as we want with the 144, with the, all the different ticks. You got to you got to give up something, right? Sacrifice something. So,
That's it. It's always a trade-off. It doesn't matter how much you have; it's never enough.
yeah.
One more thing. The one of the things I liked about the Beat Saber campaign is that the difficulty progressed as you went through it. Like it would start you on like the bottom novice difficulty level, and then as you progress, it was a really long campaign, and as you got further into it, the difficulty level of the beat maps progressed. Does the Audica campaign do this as well?
Yeah, because they did a really good job. They had already kind of shuffled it a little bit, like a couple of patches ago, as far as changing the order of some of the songs. They were realizing they had some songs in there that were a little bit harder, and then going back down to in scale. So they've done that, as well as the different modifiers, and then you've got the three different levels. You've got the easy, the advanced, and then the expert, I think it is. So you've got the different levels as far as those go, and yeah, they did a pretty good job of that. So,
All right, cool, cool. All right, so I guess that's going to wrap up our rhythm game talk of the day. Tune in tomorrow because we're going to be talking a whole lot more on this topic, and it's going to be a little bit of a different talk, and we'll talk a bit more about the Monday show later. But right now, what I want to talk about is something that we've talked about a few times over the last few weeks, and it's something we call the Asgard's effect. And it's the way we look at games now has changed from the way we looked at them a month ago. The bar has raised, and games that we used to drool over all of a sudden don't seem to look as good as they once were, And it's something that we've noticed a lot with indie games, but even some of the bigger high level games we're starting to look at it in a different light now, or at least I think so, and I think Ruuts believes so as well. And that's really my question here with Boneworks. We just got Boneworks has been one of the most highly anticipated titles of the year. This is a very physics-based game. That's what they're touting here, and that still looks cool and revolutionary. But Ruuts, now we know this game's coming. They've given us this new awesome 6.5 minute trailer to tell us that this game is coming on the 10th of December. So a month away exactly. We're going to have this game. We've been waiting all year for this game. But all of a sudden, I want to play it still. I'm kind of excited for it, but I'm not super pumped for it anymore like I used to be. And I'm wondering how much of that is the game and how much of that is me. Is this the Asgard's effect at work again? Well, first of all, do you agree with me? Are you as pumped for Boneworks today as you were 2 months ago?
I don't think I am, and it's not, and I can't exactly pin what it is. I think it was somebody in the Discord said, they weren't really that as psyched by just the way it looks, right? And I felt the exact same way. Not that it looks bad, and I'm sure in there it's going to look amazing. And it's all about how it feels, but I just feel like it's something I just don't feel as psyched about it, and I don't know. I think it is the Asgard's effect, and it's probably going to get added to with the Stormland effect. And by the time this thing drops, unless the physics are that amazing, and it just feels so good and so different and amazing, I just worry that maybe it's not going to have a story behind, as much story as I would like. I don't know. A lot of things go through my head now.
I do think that the physics are going to be groundbreaking. I think that it's going to be great, especially for those people who have a Valve Index, who this thing's pretty much made for that and being ported to everything else. I do think that the physics is probably going to be some of the best, if not the best, that we've seen in VR thus far. But this game's always kind of looked like this. And when you start talking about how the game itself looks, they're always quick to point out that, oh, this is just the alpha footage. This isn't really the game. This is a demo. And this is the trailer for the actual game now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't look any different than these demos that they've been showing us all along. So I never was too overwhelmed to begin with how the game looked, but I always kind of just took it on faith that this was going to be a fun game based on the talent of these developers and the emphasis that they're putting on the physics based gameplay. But again, I think that the bar has raised, and whereas before, I was pretty sure that this was going to be one of the top 2 or 3 games of the year. I'm not so sure anymore.
Yeah, it depends. It might be a really big Valve. Like, I'm watching this, and I guarantee someone like Mamefan or Alex or anybody that's got a index are going to be more psyched than you or I will. Because I'd like to be able to push stuff with my hand, and who knows how it's going to feel. It still looks like it'll be a good game, and everything. I go back to Shadow Legends. It wasn't the best dungeon crawler ever, but it's one of the few games this year that made me literally feel giddy when I was playing it the first 20-30 minutes, because it felt so good and was so different than a lot of other games as far as moving around and climbing on stuff, and it was just really good. And I think that will translate, and it'll make it'll fill in those gaps that you're worried about, but I don't think it's going to be as good as we thought it was going to be, like you said a month ago. So
yeah, I think it's going to be very good. Hopefully the physics are as good as we think it's going to be, and hopefully that even though the environments seem to be pretty monotonous, hopefully the story is solid and there's a lengthy campaign. If it has a good story, a lengthy campaign, and the physics are good, I think I can get over the being in this warehouse the whole time, which kind of seems like what the deal is going to be here. We're going to be in the same, gray and yellow environment the entire time.
yeah, I think that could get a little old, but it does look like it's got some pretty cool puzzles and stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
add a good story,
Yeah.
and this is right up your alley.
Yeah, that's what I need, right? I need to have a good narrative to be told, and I think the puzzles here are going to be clever. They did say that the puzzles themselves were also physics based puzzles, whatever that means. So very interested. I do think that this is going to be unique. I think it's going to be different than pretty much anything we've seen yet, and I think that's probably going to be the strength of the game. It's just how different it is.
Did they say how much it was going to cost?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't have it here in my notes if they did. I don't think so. I'd like to know. I'd like to know how much this costs, but I'm sure they don't want to tell anyone that because with prices come expectations. So it's pretty smart on their part if they do keep it to themselves.
I'm pretty sure it'll be $40. The only reason I bring it up really is, I've got Stormlands to pay for in 4 days, even though I've pre-ordered it, it's not going to go through until then. So and it's not about a month away. For a lot of people, another premium title is just not going to happen. $40,
You think this game looks like a $40 game, or you just think that's what it's going to be?
I think that's what it's going to be. It probably could be a $40 game. A lot of things, does this developer think it's a $40 game? And these people probably think this is the shit. This is the bee's knees of games. It was very, very highly well received. So I doubt they're going to go low on it. At minimum, I'd say $30. Probably 40. I'm hoping 30. But
Yeah, I could see myself paying 30 for it on day one. If it's 40, I'm going to have to wait for a review. I won't be reviewing it. I'll be waiting for the review.
no, you'll be playing my copy because I'm not gonna wait for it.
Well, yeah, that's the good thing about being on the show with Ruuts. Ruuts has no self control. He has to buy everything, even the games I buy. Ruuts buys. So, like, we try to split it up. I try to at least buy one for every five that he buys, but even the ones I buy, he just buys anyway. So, I really don't have to buy anything.
Yeah, or even like games that like I've kept struggling with Dirt Rally 2, and you were like, "You're never gonna play it, dude. You don't even like that game."
Right, you talk about that dude, how you hate Dirt Rally. You wouldn't play Dirt Rally 1 because of the guy in your passenger seat, but then you're like watching for a sale for Dirt Rally 2, which you'll never play. Just got to have it.
As soon as it goes on sale on the Oculus store, I'm buying it. But yeah, I need to play it. Alex has it, and it plays well on the Steam now. And I need to. I feel like I need to figure out how to put up with that guy. You know, so I don't know.
You're right. I need to play it as well. You know, I bought the first one and still never played it. I just bought it because it was on a good sale. So,
Yeah,
or wait a minute, I may have even. I don't even know if I paid for it. I may have gotten that one for free. If I paid for it, I didn't pay a lot for it.
no, it's pretty cheap. I just wish I
I
had a
think,
wheel. If I had a wheel, I guarantee I'd play racing games. I don't even need a harness. I don't need all the extra shit that Alex has. I just need wheel, pedal. Don't need a shifter because I don't want to deal with it. I want automatic, although it would be cool to do it. So,
yeah, I agree. I'm 100% in the same boat. Racing games not my favorite. I think if I had a wheel, they probably would be up there. you know,
yeah.
in VR, having a wheel and a wheel and pedals would make all the difference.
It's like
All the difference in the
it's
world.
like having an aim controller, right? It's the aim controller of racing. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I keep saying that I'm going to pick one up or at least try to find one to use, but never seems to happen because I mean, I don't want to spend that kind of money. I mean, spend hundreds of dollars on a peripheral for just a few games. It's a bit tough, man.
yeah.
I could see myself, dropping the 200 on a force tube before spending it on a wheel, because at least then I'll get 10 or 15 games out of it.
Yeah, but they're coming out with new things. Like even I don't think I would ever do it, but GTA 5, you can get a mod where you can use your steering wheel and stuff in the game as well. That would be pretty cool, right?
That'd be bad to the ass,
Mm.
son. Okay, in my book. All right. Let's move on here. Enough Boneworks mumbo jumbo. We'll see how it is, guys. We'll see how much it costs. We'll see how it is, and you'll hear all about it from us here on Virtual Strangers. Next, I want to talk about a game we've talked about quite a bit on this program in the past, and we've just been waiting on this piece of news that just came out this past week, and it turns out the time has come, folks. Contagion VR Outbreak has finally achieved a sufficient level of polish to successfully traverse the rugged road that is Sony quality assurance. So, a lot of questions people have about this game because a lot of the jank that it had upon first being thrown into early access. And I know a lot of people haven't been back in it since. Ruuts, you included, right? You haven't been back in it since.
I was just thinking about that before the show. Maybe I should go back in just so that I can say I've been in there. But no, it turned me off so much so that I still, even though I keep hearing it's way better, I just haven't felt like I wanted to go back in.
Do you have any more confidence in it now, knowing that this has passed the rigorous Sony quality standard?
I do, but it makes me wonder, like, how many games do we know that comes out and they fix it for PlayStation, but they don't fix it. They never go back to the PC version, and I don't want to play this on the PlayStation. I'd like to try it to check it out to see the difference, but other than that, I'm always going to try to play it on a PC first. So
I, I I can say definitively that since Victor Burgos has left their team there, these guys have got their shit together. I've watched their community from afar as a lurker on their Discord server. I'm in there pretty much every day. Um, these guys have made some real progress. Hey, they know Walking Dead games are coming. They know that their days are numbered. If they're going to sell some copies, today's the day. Now is the time. That's the reason why these guys have banged out three different submissions to Sony. You know, they kicked it into Sony, got it kicked back out, kicked it back, got kicked back out. They've submitted three times in like a month, and finally they've passed. And next week they're releasing. There's no build up, no marketing campaign. Okay, we're approved. Let's launch. They know what's coming. Uh, but what we've got here is a lot more meat on the bone than what we had when I bought Contagion, and I enjoyed it when I bought it. But now we know that there's going to be three story missions, the tutorial, two free roam maps, and a rifle range. Way more than I even had last time I played it, and that was just 3 or 4 months ago. Uh, Ruuts Pro enhanced at launch. Now I found this out by talking to the lead developer the other day. I was curious because most of these PC ports come in. Um, they come in and they're pretty jank, at first because they're being held to that standard of the OG PS4, and then within a month, 2 months, 3 months, you see them come in with the Pro patch that they call it, the Pro patch, and finally, what was a subpar game becomes a good game. This game, as big of a hurry as they've been in, they've managed to add in pro enhancements from launch for this thing, and I find that to be pretty impressive. What about you?
Yeah, I don't have a pro right now, but actually it is on my list. So that doesn't have anything to do with the slim, right? I'm assuming since it says pro, it's for the pro, correct?
Well, basically, what he said, I had a little bit of a conversation about this, and he pretty much lamented having to make this thing work on a OGPS 4. It was not easy. The thing runs on a 1.6 gigahertz processor, and it's not easy. He said it ran at about 75% pixel density on the OG. Not nearly as good as it runs on the Pro, and they had to do it that way because Sony has strict frame rate requirements on both the OG and the Pro. So I mean, you have to, if you're going to add something somewhere, you have to take it from somewhere else. And the pixel density, the resolution, render resolution is where it came from on the OG. But he said that it runs great on the Pro, that 100% pixel density on that, and that there was actually headroom. He had resources left on the Pro that he wanted to use to bring in more enemies, to like the horde modes and things. But Sony's pretty insistent that the game on one has to be the same game on the other. So he doesn't think they're going to let him buy with that, which I think is just a shame.
So hearing all of what you just said, is there any part of you that's thinking, thank God for this developer, because he's a good guy and makes a good game, that they're not trying to get on Quest, because it gets stopped at, hey, your game isn't going to be on here, and you're like standing there with your dick in the wind and you don't know, like, what do I do? How do I fix it? They won't tell you shit. They won't tell you how to fix it. You can't submit it 3 different times, at least from what I've heard. If they nix you, you're nixed, and you're like, banned on Facebook or something. You don't even know what happened. How did this happen? I don't know.
We've documented many times how ridiculous the Oculus QA standard has gotten. And it's kind of funny because you feel like they want to be Sony QA. Sony had this, tough, this reputation for being this tough QA standard, and you feel like Oculus tried to emulate that, but take it up a notch. But it's gotten actually to the point of being a detriment to the platform, in my opinion, because you're cutting off what, a third of the devs, half of them, kind of shitting down their throat by letting them spend all this time and resources. Many of them small teams who don't have much money to begin with. They put all this time and resources into making these games, only to get turned away. I think that the Oculus Quest standards need to come down. We've talked about that time and time again, and I'm so glad that these guys chose to go the route of the PSVR instead of going the route of the Oculus Quest here. I think that the PSVR, not only are there more units to sell your game to, but I feel like that community is really going to appreciate this game a lot more than the PC crowd ever did, and a lot more than the Quest crowd would. This is a highly anticipated release on PlayStation, and I feel like they're going to do well there from the get-go.
I think so too.
Yeah, I was just telling them that earlier today. I was asking them, all right, you've got 3 missions now. What are we going for? 4, 5? What's the end game? And they said, we really don't know. It depends on how well it sells, how well people like it, if people are buying it. If people pay for it, then, of course, we'd like to keep going on it, keep growing it, making it bigger. So, I kind of reassured them that, the PlayStation group, they've been waiting on this one for well over a year, highly anticipated. And as long as the product that you're sending over there is, legit, it's not all janked out, they're going to do well on PlayStation.
Well,
and I feel like they deserve it after all the hard work they put in.
Well, and like you were saying, the PSVR crowd is, I believe they're a lot more loyal, in the respect of they're just very avid. They'll pick up just about everything that comes out, and let's be honest, there's not as much coming out this time, the last year or so. So it really is highly anticipated because there's not much out there, and this is a quality game, and they've been watching this game even though we've been bitching about it. They haven't had access to it, so it's kind of cool.
They didn't hear any of that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's kind of the other thing. They appreciate it. They appreciate when people go through the effort. People who are in the know in the PSVR community, they know what a bitch it is to port a PC game over. Not only is it hard to get it to run on the machine, but it's hard to get it approved through the QA. Everybody knows that. So they're pretty appreciative to those who make it to the finish line. And especially at a time like this, when there's not a lot of first party exclusives going on, they're really going to appreciate it. And like I said, if this game runs halfway decent, everybody's going to buy it, and I think that's great. I think it's a good thing. And another great thing, if they buy it, no refund. You know what I mean? It's not like Steam where people can buy it, shit on it, and then get their money back. You buy it, it's yours. You're not getting your money back from Sony.
No.
Good luck with that. All right, so that's enough about Contagion. I have reached out to the developers and requested a copy of PSVR version of this. Hopefully they respond. They did mention that since they're coming to market so quickly after approval, that it's going to be after launch before they have review keys. So if we do get a review of the PSVR version, it'll probably be, a month from now at least. But hopefully we'll get to try it out and get to report back to you guys on what they've done here, because I'm really curious. I'm curious to what they've been able to do. All right, that brings us to another PSVR title, something I found out about a few days ago that I find very interesting. And what I'm talking about is a game that goes by the name Mini Motor Racing X. Now, I just saw this the other day, and I think that this thing is just cool as hell looking. This is a game coming to us from the Binary Mill. And for those of you who don't know, the Binary Mill is the development company that brought us the Gun Club VR as well as Rush VR. Two solid titles. Rush especially, I really got into, really liked. But what's so cool about Mini Motor Racing X? Well, this is based on the Mini Motor Racing franchise for iOS devices. So this is an iPad game pretty much coming over exclusively to PlayStation VR. Offers 4 championships, over 50 vibrant environments to master. The experience features full VR support as well as non-VR gameplay on PlayStation 4 with multiplayer crossplay between them. So you can have some players in VR, some players out of VR, online, on the couch, doesn't matter. Any combination of the like. You can get 4 people in it and you can play together. What I think is just the coolest shit about this, Ruuts, is I was a big RC Pro-Am fan back in the days of the 8-bit Nintendo, and this game looks like RC Pro-Am VR to me. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks amazing. Just the aspect. I know when you first got into VR, everybody thought everything had to be first person, but these type of games work really well, and we always talk about scale, and looks like a lot of these tracks. Now, granted, this is not the actual. This is the only footage I could find was the mini motor, which is the same thing that they're just going to be making new tracks. So this is what it's going to look like. And I think it's going to be crazy action. I don't know if you get to shoot stuff and it just looks really cool.
Yeah, it has a lot of the same gameplay functions that you had in RC Pro-Am, meaning that, let's see here, multiple day and night weather variants. There are loads of extra cars to unlock, which can be souped up with race winning. So kind of the same deal with RC Pro-Am. You progress as you go through it. You upgrade your cars. You get different cars. Only difference being a lot more environmental variables in this. It seems like the tracks and the areas are going to vary greatly in this game, which is great. It keeps a game like this fresh. And I don't know. We don't have a release date on it yet. Obviously, that they just announced it. But this is the type of stuff that PlayStation VR needs right now. Something different. Maybe I'm missing it, but do we have anything like this in on PC VR as of yet?
No, I was just trying to look for there's a game that's like it on PC, and I can't remember the name of it, but very similar. Not as detailed as far as this goes, and but it works really well, and you're over the track, and you're got your little car, and it's zipping around, and I just think that this looks like it's going to be amazing, and I think the fact that they added in people that aren't in VR, they either on phone or PC or whatever. I guess it would just be on phone, right?
No, I'm talking. It's when I say cross-platform multiplayer, I mean from a flat PS4 player to
okay.
a VR
I
PS4
gotcha.
player, and it's local as well as online, so you can have
Okay.
people in the room or across the world, VR or non-VR.
Okay, so
And
it's gonna do exactly what I was just about to say, whether it's got a phone or not. It's gonna add a lot of people to the multiplayer pool just by keeping it, allowing people to play flat as well. And one of the things that always sucks is when they keep things local, and that's great. I might want to play with somebody with me, and I might not. I might want to race against a bunch of other people. So that's really cool.
yeah, I used to just veg out on RC Pro, man. I'd grab my Sony Walkman. I'd put in a copy of Megadeth Rust in Peace album, turn it up, hit play, and I would just play RC Pro Am for hours, dude. Hours and hours and hours. And that's what this looks like. Only it's going to be obviously 10 times better because it's a modern game and it's in VR. And I think it's just great. I can't wait.
Yeah, I wish it was coming to the PC as well, but you know, it's good for PlayStation to have some stuff that after a while, right? That PC doesn't get to have.
And it's probably a timed exclusive. I mean, they're just coming from Binary Mill. Normally, it's the other way around. Normally, with these guys, their games come out on PC first, then they move to PlayStation. This time they're doing it backwards. They're doing it on PlayStation first, bringing it over. Well, hopefully one day bringing it over to PC as well.
Yeah.
But
Suck it,
this
PC
looks like
players,
this
right?
looks like a PlayStation game to me.
Yeah, it does, especially with the controller. But I just say it's good for the PC players to suck it every once in a while, right? They get to wait, or maybe not even get to see it. Now, do we know that?
Suck it, PC guys.
Do we know if this is going to be like this as far as building the tracks? Did they announce that there's track building in this version?
I did
or
not read anything about that, but I imagine that it is it's a common thing in their games. I imagine that this version is going to be no different. I'm assuming that you're going to have some track customization offerings in the PS4 version as well.
Cool.
I agree. Very cool, and cannot wait to check it out. Oh, Ruuts. I expect you to die, brother. We have more news on it. I expect you to die. I said it last week. They were heavily hinting that some more free DLC is coming, and here we are. A week later, we got all the deets. We waited. They tweeted the deets. I love it when they tweet the deets, Ruuts. What do we know? We know that a new free expansion titled Operation Death Engine is coming to I Expect You to Die. This new final mission. Remember, I told you it sounds like it's going to be the last one. It's the last one. This new final mission will be available on November 19, 2019. So, a week and a half. We have the conclusion of what is a very solid escape the room puzzle game. Players are thrust into an ultra intense space mission. This is a space mission, Ruuts. Going where no agent has gone before to thwart the nefarious Dr. Zor's master plan. The Death Engine that we found out about in the last DLC. Remember, they had the map, and the Death Engine was set to take out different cities on the globe, and you had to stop it. Well, the Death Engine is now in Earth's orbit, and players must infiltrate Zorax's Space Corporation to stop it before it fires. We have a Death Star scenario, Ruuts, and Dr. Zor has launched the ultimate weapon, and we have to stop it. So, Ruuts, I know you like this game about as much as I do. It's a good, solid game. This seems like it's going to be the most epic of levels that we've encountered yet, and I'm looking forward to it. What about you?
I am, but I'm a little worried that the Earth might get destroyed because it drops on the 19th, and I'm going to be in Stormland still, and I don't think I'm going to be able to save the Earth probably until at least the 21st. You got to give me at least 7 days in Stormland, then I might be able to jump in there. But yeah, no, this is looks very intricate, and I know just that one where we were in the water submerged, so fucking frustrating because there's so many things to redo over and over and over again. And it looks like this is the same. You know, you got something hitting you, and now you got a hole you got to plug in there. All sorts of different crazy things going on. So I don't know. I love the Earth in space. I was looking at spheres the other day and just marveling how amazing it looks. So I'm kind of curious to see how good it looks in this. I know Shell Games is really good at what they do, so I'm sure it'll look amazing.
Yeah, it's a good looking game too. I Expect You to Die. Even the early chapters of it still hold up in my opinion.
Yeah, it gets better each time though, right? They're just keep each mission looks better and better.
Absolutely. And I want you to just picture this, Roots. You're in this space capsule looking through a window to what you know is the vast vacuum of space on the other side. But then all of a sudden, the window starts to crack. You're looking around. You have to find your caulk to seal up the window, but now the panel's on fire. Oh, where's the fire extinguisher? But oh, the pin's stuck in the fire extinguisher. Oh, there's another crack up here, Roots. You're dead. Start all over again. There's no save point.
Yeah, that's
Sounds great, don't it?
It's gonna be my future. I can feel it. But yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a really good end to a good series, right?
Yeah, it makes me want to play through the whole deal again, just to get the continuity of the story fresh as I go into this, you know?
Yeah, for
Get
sure.
the whole picture as it was intended by the creator.
Do it from start to finish in a stream. That's what you need to do.
Yeah. Great support for this great title from Shell Games over the years, but I can totally respect that they want to move on. They want to do other things. Things like Until You Fall. Until You Fall is the next great game coming from Shell Games. And this game went into early access. Oh, what was it, Roots, in September, right?
Yeah, it's been a couple
Or the
months.
end of August, September, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, a solid game going into early access. It seemed like a full release in many ways. I mean, the polish was very impressive. It looked and sounded great. The melee battle, the best up until that point, the best melee that I've tried probably. Randomly generated, procedural generated levels, which were beautiful. And I normally don't like that sort of game, but it really worked here. So we're like, why? Why is this early access and not a full release? Well, we now know that that's not all. That they are actively working to add to what is already a solid title. And we're getting a big update for this one next week. They're adding new enemies, new areas to explore, and overall performance improvements to this game. Roots, were you expecting this? I mean, this game was already polished as hell and fun to play. I really didn't expect such a substantive update, were you?
No, I wasn't. It's amazing. It's how many developing teams don't seem to be doing anything, and then you have one like Shell Games that's not only dropping, that expect you to die, and they're bringing this into full release, and just shows you that a lot of companies are really, got their nose to the grindstone. They're getting things done, and I need to get back into this game. It's actually got a learning curve. Those harder guys, there's a lot of things I need to learn, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But you nailed it. There's so many games. It's funny. We go back 3, 4, 5, 6 months maybe, and you could say, yeah, Melee and VR just sucks. There's no good Melee games. And now we've got this. We have Ninja Legends. We have the best one out there, Asgard's Wrath. It's just amazing what they've done with Melee in the last 6 months.
Yeah, I feel like this game actually holds up to the Asgard's effect. What do you think?
Yeah. Especially as far as the feel of it. It feels really good, the Melee.
It actually, I think from a feel perspective and a look and sound perspective, as far as production quality goes, I feel like it's really on par with Asgard's Wrath. It's a different type of game where Asgard's Wrath might be your main course. This is more of a palate cleanser game. But I mean, the graphics are on a similar level. The Melee gameplay is on a similar level. And the overall quality, I mean, just the quality of the game is on a similar level. So a very good title here.
Yeah, I agree.
Players will finally be able to complete Shattered Woods campaign with all new environments, mysterious encounters, and new combat music, they will be able to enter the industrial outskirts and experience their final encounter with ether horror. Ruuts, industrial outskirts is starting to sound like we just saw the very, very tip of the iceberg with this, and that this is a lot bigger game than we thought it was.
Yeah, it was funny because when you said all what you just said, I was thinking, fuck, I don't just got this final guy coming out. I don't think I'm even close to him. I think I probably, I was excited because I got past the first harder guy. I thought he was a boss, and I found out he's just a little bit harder guy to kill. This is, it's something that I guess is a lot, like you said, a lot deeper for sure.
The ether horror. I don't want to fight that thing. I want to hide from that.
Yeah.
The update also includes new enemies unleashed on the civilization of Rokar. Players who defeat the final boss of the Shattered Woods can also acquire a pair of new punching daggers called the Twin Katars. Shell Games also listed some quality of life improvements coming to the update, including dodging improvements, stabbing improvements, dash damage balance updates, as well as seated mode range adjustments. Ruuts, could you imagine trying to play this thing seated?
No, I can't imagine playing any game seated that I've got to slash around. I'm already hitting stuff when I have nothing around me. I don't know. There's just certain games.
Me.
Yeah, you can't play a game that you're doing melee. I don't think. I guess you could. I mean, like we take for granted that I can stand up. Some people can't. So I'm sure they would love to experience the game as well if they were like stuck in a wheelchair or something. So it's kind of cool.
I sit more than your average VR gamer. I sit and play a lot more now than even I used to. But I'm like you, not melee, man. You got to stand for that stuff. And I get wild with it as it is. Like, wife had to dive in and catch me when I was playing Pistol Whip earlier because I was going for the TV, man. I was getting ready to take out number 2, and she stopped me.
Thank God she was there, right?
Yeah. I recentered my my play space to the back of my room instead of in the center. And after I did that, whenever I got toward the front where the TV is, the game just pauses and tells you to get back in your play space, which I thought was great because that saved me 10 times at least. Because like I said, I don't duck as much as I shift and strafe out of the way.
Why not face the other way? That's what I face away from my TV. Like, I face towards my wall so that if I just can't, I'm going away from my TV. I'm not going towards it.
The cable would fall differently if I did that because my computer's over there next to my TV.
Yeah.
That would definitely work with the Quest, but which again, I'll probably just end up playing it on the Quest more often than not now, so I can go into the living room and really have some space to move around. But no, after I recentered, I really didn't have that issue anymore anyway.
Okay.
I really thought it was cool. I thought more games should do that. Should just stop and say, "Hey, asshole, get back in the center. You're going to break your TV."
Yeah, it depends on how sensitive it is and how far away you are from that sensor. I don't want to be pulled out of the experience either because it thinks I'm too close, even though.
Yeah, obviously, it could be overdone. PlayStation VR games are really bad for that. But yeah, this wasn't that. This was legitimately me just moving too much. And you know me, I don't move a lot. This says a lot about Pistol Whip that it had me moving all over my play space because I don't do that. I stand still, bro. If I'm not able to turn with my sticks, then I'm playing something else. Screw you. But not this, not Pistol Whip. I was gladly dancing to the beat, moving around, dodging.
Yeah, I hit my wall a couple times. So not hit it, but touched it. That's one of the beauty of that Rift S is when you go to hit something or touch it, your knuckles are gonna hit it first before the controller. The old controller was, so far out that you were gonna hit the wall and break it. So
yeah, the old controller was like a knuckle protector.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's good and bad. I
Right,
don't want to
right,
break my knuckles, but I don't want to break my controller either.
right. I don't want to break anything
Yeah.
except for that guy's face. All
Yeah.
right. All right, let's talk about our very last news item of the day. We got plenty more to talk about afterwards, but one more game I want to report a little news on today, and it's a game we keep coming back to. Ruuts, a game that we severely underestimated when it was released because it wasn't the game then that it is today, and it's not the game today that it's going to be next week. And I'm talking about Angry Birds VR Isle of Pigs. This game came out, and the MO on it was pretty much everybody said it's good. It's not as good as VR Furballs. That's pretty much what people said. So I tried it for myself, and I liked it, but it took a while for me to like it. I liked. I didn't. I mean, the first level was okay. The second level was a little better. The third level was good, and then the fourth level was really good. And I left out of that game. I did my review. I said, hey, this game needed to get started a little bit quicker. We need more levels, more challenging levels. Uh, and they came back with the spooky update. And the spooky update is good off the bat, dude. The difficulty is proper from the get go on that. Much more detailed environments, cooler to look at, funner to play. I was content at that point with Angry Birds VR. With the spooky update, I'm like, okay, by the time we get all of this, this is going to be a great game. I'm happy. Now we get this, Ruuts. What could they possibly do to make this better? You're looking at it right there. Angry Birds VR level builder. Have you always wanted to know what it's like to play this level but have unlimited bombs or unlimited chucks? Or what if you could do the level yourself like Gadgeteer? You get to go to Gadgeteer sandbox mode and build whatever you want. What if you could do that in Angry Birds with all the TNT and rocks and all the stuff that they have to offer? Well, we're going to be able to do that soon, friends. And at first, it's only going to be local. So, meaning only people who are on your same machine are going to get to play your levels that you build. But sometime next year, they're going to open up the servers Mario Maker style, and everybody's going to be allowed to share, which means unlimited, difficult Angry Birds VR levels in VR. I mean, Ruuts, this is amazing. Is this not the very best thing they could have done for this game?
Yeah, it was amazing when you said you could build your own levels, and when you said that somebody else could build Roots' levels, that became even more amazing because I don't see myself building one because I'm too lazy. But the thought of a community of people, I mean, we've talked about No Limits too, and how amazing that game is just because of the community. Beat Saber, same thing. People and everything that there's so much artistic things in the world. I guess, so many people can do so much and they'll see a level, I guarantee there's going to be amazing things out there. And it just took a game that was already good and it pretty much wiped its ass with VR furballs. It's a good because a VR furball is kind of furry and it'll work pretty good, but
Nice
no,
and soft.
yeah, nice and soft. But no, um, it just made this game really, really good, and it was already good. So
Yeah, yeah. The spooky update really put it over the line from going from an okay game to a good game. This is going to make it a must-own game, in my opinion. I mean, like you said, even guys like you and me who don't really like to get into creating this sort of thing, when this thing goes online, it's unlimited levels for it. I mean, unlimited levels. And I'm sure they're like Mario Maker, there's going to be a way to rate the levels. So you're going to know which ones are good, which ones are not good. There's going to be scoreboards for each one. So who did it the best, get your name up there. And for those of you who do like building stuff like this, those of you who like playing games like Gadgeteer, there's lots of this sort of thing in Angry Birds where you have a boulder up here and then you kind of hit the dynamite box down here, which breaks something, which creates this chain reaction that starts the boulder down the thing to hit something else. You know, there's a lot of that Rube Goldberg style action in this, and opening that up to the public is going to really allow us to see the full extent of what's possible in this engine. And I can't believe it. The way I've gone from the way I've initially felt about this game to the way I'm feeling about it now. It's amazing to me, and it's really a compliment to the developers there at Resolution Games. This is how you support a title. Maybe it's not the best title in the world when it comes out, but that don't mean it's not going to be. I mean, it's up to you. It's up to your imagination and your work ethic. And just kudos. I couldn't be more impressed with the job that they've done with this game.
You know, it'd be kind of cool is to tell your kid, you know, build me a level, you know, and just to see what they could do and then have them watch you play it. I think that would be really fun for both of you, you know?
Oh, they beg me for it, dude. They play Minecraft and they play Mario Maker, and they're just constantly, like, they don't even want to finish their damn level before they're asking me to play it. Like, Daddy, I've got this new section in my level. Will you check it out, check it out, check it out, you know, constantly. So, yeah, this is right down their alley. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's on Quest. It's on Quest. You can take it. I mean, if it's not cool enough that people can do this, imagine the reach it's going to have being on Quest. It's already one of the better titles on Quest. One of the few titles that I prefer to play on Quest. This game's awesome on Quest. And this and like Gadgeteer are the only two that I can think of off the top of my head that I actually prefer on Quest. Maybe Pistol Whip joins that as well. Time will tell. But no, I'm really, really looking forward to this, and I can't wait till they open up the servers. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, with that said, friends, that brings us to the part of the show where we preview what's coming up tomorrow on the Monday show. Monday show 13. And pretty good show coming up, Ruuts. A couple of games that we've got to try out today. What are we going to be playing? What's the first thing?
First thing actually came out a little bit ago and had a request from Driven By that we check it out, and so I picked it up, and that is Luigi's Mansion in VR Spectro. So
there's something strange in your headset.
Yeah.
Who are you going to call? Virtual strangers.
That's right.
Driven by was interested in this game. It's actually been out for a little while. Looks pretty cool. Very colorful. Looks like it could be all right. And Driven by was curious, and he did what anyone should do. If you're curious about a title in VR, you want to know how it is. You want guys that are going to give you the straight dope. They're not going to jerk you around and tell you that something's good when it's not. What you do is you go to the Virtual Strangers Discord and you say, I wonder what this game's like. And we'll find out, and we're going to tell you. And that's what Driven By did, and that's what we're going to do here. And this looks pretty cool, Ruuts.
Yeah, actually, one of the things that I saw, I was watching Gamertag play this, I think, weeks ago, and one of the things I thought was cool was like walls opening up and secret passageways and stuff. And like, there's a lot more to this game than you would think, just from what I've seen. But I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah, me either. I think it. I really, I knew what this game was. I really haven't looked at very much footage of it until now. It really looks very colorful, and I like two things that I love in VR. I love bloom effect, and I love particle effects, and it looks like this game has plenty of both. So even if the gameplay is subpar, I'm still going to enjoy this experience, I think. So, yeah, looking forward to checking this one out. Second game we're going to check out is a game we talked about last week, actually. A game that actually has not come to release yet, and that is Thief Simulator VR. So we were talking about this game. We were talking about how it looked like a straight one-to-one port of the flat version of the game and how good it looked. So the developer actually tracked us down in our Discord, like we just mentioned, and offered us up review access. So hey, how can we say no? This game looks cool. We said it last week. We're saying it again this week. Looking forward to checking it out, Ruuts. What about you?
Yeah, me too. It looks really very intricate. I think it's really good. It looks like they did a really good job with the move controller or move touch, movement, I should say. So.
Yeah, I agree. This isn't your standard VR port. Supposedly, according to the developer, they wanted to make this like built from the ground up VR experience, and it looks very much so like that's what they've done here. So anyway, tune into the Monday show tomorrow to get our first impressions of Thief Simulator VR. All right, and then I guess we're going to say a few words about Wolves in the Walls. Normally we only talk about 2 titles. I just wanted to throw this one in as well. I'm sure we won't say a whole lot about it because we're not going to want to spoil it. But we were both just blown away with the first episode of this. Now we have episode 2, episode 3, the grand conclusion. So we're going to be giving you all the vague overview, our final impressions having completed it. We've been looking forward to this one for quite some time, and quite honestly, I just want to watch it and talk to Ruuts about it. And if we're going to be doing that anyway, we might as well share the conversation with you friends. So those of you out there who are going to be joining us in the live chat for the Monday show tomorrow, this is a free title on the Oculus Store. Go grab it, go watch it, join the conversation. Let's talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, and that's going to bring us to our topic for this week's Monday show. And this is an interesting one, Ruuts. Someone has a little bit of success in VR, and it seems like people just line up one after another, after another, after another to somehow get their piece of the pie. We've seen it with zombie games. We've seen it with wave shooters. Everybody wants to be Arizona Sunshine. Everybody wants to be Space Pirate Trainer. But there's only one best. And then Beat Saber comes along, sells 1 million copies, or makes $1 million, whichever one it was. And now everybody wants to put out a rhythm game, and we've got some really good ones. Some really, really good ones. Some even better than Beat Saber, but some that are not even close. And it seems like there's a new one every day, Ruuts. And I think we're in danger here of getting rhythm game fatigue. That's the topic tomorrow. And I think that it's a relevant one. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we may or may not be getting inundated with too many rhythm games. But like you said, we'll talk about it tomorrow and we'll discuss whether we're at that point or not, So.
Yeah, we're going to be taking a brief overview look at all the rhythm games we've gotten pretty much since Beat Saber came out. And we're going to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we're going to talk about them, and we're going to see how that makes us feel. Do we get that sick feeling in the pit of our stomach when we start looking and talking about these? Or are we not there yet? We don't know. We don't know how it's going to go. But we're going to talk it out the way we always do on this channel and on the Monday show specifically. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow on the Monday Show 13. That's going to wrap up our show after I do something a little different here, a little idea we've been tossing around. Every week we have these ideas for stories to talk about on this show. Some of them make the cut, other ones do not make the cut. And normally these ones that don't make the cut, we just end up tossing them. But it's food for thought. It's stuff I'd like to know your guys' opinions on. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just throw these out here. We're going to call this segment Parting Thoughts. And maybe you guys have an opinion on it. If so, leave a comment down below. Come into our live chats as we premiere the episodes, or maybe even come into the Discord and let us know what you think. But I've got two this week, two parting thoughts just to leave you guys with to talk about, and let me know what you think. Recently, we heard some rumors that Horizon Zero Dawn may be coming to PlayStation VR. Seemed a little bit far-fetched. Well, last week, the head of Sony's worldwide studios, Sean Layden, resigned. Who did they replace him with? None other than Guerrilla Games boss, Herman Holst. So, for those of you who don't know, Guerrilla Games is the studio that brought us Horizon Zero Dawn. Obviously, they didn't just pick this guy yesterday. They've had to been in talks with him for a while. And what better way to woo this guy over, or what better way to have this guy exercise a little bit of authority by making a major decision regarding one of his former company's biggest properties in Horizon Zero Dawn. It's the sort of thing that makes sense to me, Ruuts. If this guy's really coming over from Guerrilla Games and they already know it, it's not too surprising to see a game like this come over to PSVR. At least I don't think so. What about you?
No, like you said, that's one of the benefits of bringing. I'm sure this person knows what he's doing, and then you also have access to this title and have him bring it over in the proper way, and it just adds more credibility to what we were talking about. You know, it's funny, we keep having these rumors in VR, and everybody always just says, it's just a rumor, and then we hear something more that adds to it, and then something more that adds to it, and then people are either ready to jump on something that has no reason to be considered, or they deny things until it's like smacking them in the face. It's like we're in a very weird time in society. So
yeah, it's just a weird time where people make up their mind what they believe, and they use selective perception to bolster their beliefs and just totally disregard anything that contradicts what they believe. But anyway, let us know what you think below. Does the hiring of Herman Holst lend credibility to the rumor that Horizon Zero Dawn is coming to PSVR? Maybe it does. Let us know what you think in the comments or in the Discord. The second parting thought. It has been rumored recently that voice command functionality is coming to Oculus Quest, which is basically your Hey Siri, Hey Google, Hey Cortana functionality coming to Oculus Quest. Voice commands. So, if this is true, given Facebook's recent privacy record, should we be concerned? This is just one more device that's listening in on this. And if it's coming to Quest, why wouldn't it be coming to Rift S as well? Also, they told me I can't record my microphone because it needs to be shut off because it drains my battery dead in my Quest by leaving the microphone on. If this functionality is added, isn't that going to drain my battery? Can I turn it off? Can I opt out? These are my concerns. I feel like they're legit. Ruuts, do you share the same concerns as I?
I question whether it's not recording what you're saying now anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Everything we know, our TVs are recording us, every technology, Alexa, all that stuff keeps coming out in the news that it's recording us. So I would imagine anybody that has the fears that you're talking about with Facebook recording us or whatever is not far-fetched. And I'm kind of torn on that either way, because, you know, like I just said, everything's recording us. So at some point, is it an issue that this one more thing is also recording you, outside of the issue that none of it should be? It just, it's crazy.
So basically what you're saying is this update could very well just be our Patriot Act, and they could have been spying all along. They just want to make it official now so that we can't come back on them later and say, hey, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because like you said, so many things, they tell you one thing and they say, like with Borderlands VR, and we can't do multiplayer because of the whatever their reason was, that one type of thing you do, the special move, but we all know that it's because PlayStation can't handle it. So at least in my mind, so they tell you one thing and then all of a sudden they come out with, like, you know, for in my mind, PC VR may come out with a Borderlands 2 multiplayer somewhere down the road, and then we'll all be thinking the same thing. Well, we were lied to, right? So yeah, I think they probably are lying about that. So that's my opinion.
Screw Facebook, right?
Yeah, fuck them, man. They're out. I'm selling my Rift S now, and
yeah, we'll go by the HTC Chinese competitor, because that's the safe way to go.
yeah, China #1.
China #1.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's going to wrap us up for the week, folks. What do you think? Do we have anything to be concerned about here? Are Facebook just adding this functionality as an excuse to keep that microphone on? And if so, why are they not doing it on the Rift? And why can't they let me record my stupid microphone when I'm making a video? Why is it that I have to get the wonderful Mod Mic Wireless from Antlion Audio in order to make great, high-quality Oculus Quest videos? That's my question. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Join our Discord, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Click the notification bell to keep up with all of our content here on the Virtual Strangers channel. Keep an eye out this week, folks. We're ramping it up. We're going to have a few videos come out this week if everything goes to plan. We've got some cool surprises in store, so click that notification bell and keep an eye on your feed. With that said, folks, we'd like to thank you for watching, and for Ruuts, I'm Wes. We'll see you tomorrow, friends. Bye-bye.
All right, take it easy.